Joining us now is CJ Pearson, RNC Youth Advisory Council co-chair. CJ, great to see you again. Let's talk about KJP on her media blitz, reminding all of us of just how bad things really were under the Biden administration. Now, she, of course, has been attacking the Democrat Party. Now she's an independent. But my issue is that she was the one spending years and years lying to the American people, covering up Joe Biden's decline. And now she wants those people to go out there and spend their hard-earned dollars on buying her BS book. I mean, what's your reaction?
You know, you're exactly right. And thank you so much again for having me. I got to say that not much has obviously changed with Karine Jean-Pierre. She continues to show that if her mouth is moving, that she is most undoubtedly lying, whether or not it's, on a book tour, behind a White House podium. She actually has no relationship with the truth whatsoever. To sit here and continue to gaslight the American people about the mental acuity of President Biden, when we all saw exactly what happened, his downward spiral throughout his term, and to make us seem as if, or make us feel as if, that our eyes are lying to us, our ears are lying to us, is just disrespectful at this point. The American people know exactly who Joe Biden is, and they know who he wasn't, and what he wasn't was all there, period.
100%. Now, just like Kamala Harris, KJP is taking no accountability. Now, Kamala Harris is still on her media blitz and promoting her book, and she had a meltdown while she was on stage and she happened to get heckled. Watch this.
Soon enough. And I sometimes think about, you know what? I am not president of the United States. You want to go to the White House and talk to him? Then go on and do that.
CJ, it's always a different accent. You never know which one's going to come out.
Always a different accent. I got to tell you, I've been watching this media tour, and Kamala Harris has found a way to blame everyone under the sun for her loss, but the actual real culprit. She hasn't blamed Jose Cuervo. She hasn't blamed Tito. She hasn't blamed Jack Daniel. And I think that she should actually be, putting her ire on those fronts, right? Here's the deal. Kamala Harris, the American people rejected her because they realized that she actually had no competence whatsoever. She would be a continuation of the same failed Biden agenda the American people had grown tired of. And so, she continues to demonstrate that. And all I'm hoping for at the end of this tour is that she has deluded herself enough to the point where she thinks that she should run again. Because if she runs again, we will have a President J.D. Vance, or we'll have a President Marco Rubio, one of the two. And it will be guaranteed. So I'm begging Kamala Harris, if she's watching Sky News Whole Story right now, please run for president.
Yeah, I think a lot of Republicans are hoping that she's going to run. They're among those, like her staff, all telling her, please do it. Now, I want to talk to you about Hunter Biden in just a moment, but quickly let's go to the UK, where the Oxford Debating Society has voted to oust its incoming president, and this is after he celebrated the murder of Charlie Kirk. Now, more than the required, two-thirds of voters supported the no confidence measure against the president-elect. And let's just look at who this guy is, because old vision has surfaced where he essentially called for the right to be taken out by any means necessary. Look at this.
To effectively create change in the world we desire. And side prop will argue that at times there is simply nothing else that can be required other than violent retaliation. And this is a view I wholeheartedly agree with. The view that some institutions are too broken, too regressive, too oppressive to be reformed. Like cancers of our society, they must and they should be taken down by any means necessary.
CJ, can I get your reaction that he's now been voted out?
Well, thank God for these, students and these young people actually showing some leadership and holding him accountable. But I got to tell you that this is disgusting, and these videos, while they may be news to us, they weren't news to the people that elected them. And for them to have voted him in, knowing that he had harbored these opinions and these thoughts about political violence in his country, across the world, is disgusting, and an indictment upon the higher education system, not just here in the U.S., because of course he's over there in the UK, but really around the world. This virus has spread internationally now. But what I'll say about this is that oftentimes the reason I push back so forcefully when those on the left say this is a both sides issue, you don't hear people on the right talking like this, right? Charlie Kirk, you want to say that, oh, sometimes violence is the only response to something that's oppressive. What was oppressive about anything that Charlie Kirk ever did? That was it oppressive or violent? He believed there were only two genders. Was it oppressive or violent? He believed that America was a great country worthy of being defended. Was it oppressive or violent that he believed that America's next generation should be able to have a free discourse of ideas in accordance with the free speech ideals that America is built upon? What was oppressive about that? What was violent about that? I will tell you what was oppressive is putting a bullet into the neck of your political opponent because he hurt your feelings. That is the type of evil that those on the left are defending here in this country today. That is the type of evil that those across the world are defending on the left here today. And so, no, you don't get to both sides me on this issue anymore. The violence in this in this country right now, as it relates to politics, the bullets are coming from left to right. They're not coming from both sides.
Well said, CJ. Okay, Hunter Biden, he's opened up about receiving a pardon from his dad. And in the world's most predictable statement, he's pointing the finger at Donald Trump. Not himself, not his dad, Joe Biden, but it's Donald Trump's fault. In an interview with Tommy Christopher, he said that his dad only pardoned him because Donald Trump was elected president, and his dad would not have done so under normal circumstances. He said that Donald Trump went and changed everything, and I quote, "Don't think that I need to make much of an argument about why it changed everything." I mean, CJ, of course he's going to point the finger at Donald Trump. It's such a joke.
You're exactly right. It's just plain silly. But I got to tell you, maybe we should give credit where it's due. I will actually applaud Hunter Biden for his self-awareness there. He says that he recognizes how privileged he is. And he actually is very, very privileged. He's the most privileged crackhead in America. Because only when you were the president's son would you have received the type of pardon that he did. Only if you're the president's son would you be given kind of a get out of jail free card in this case, because we know indisputably that he had broken the law. It was true. It was proven. It was Biden's DOJ that pursued those charges against him. However, what we have since seen is that many of the charges that were, pursued against President Trump and many of his conservative allies were not founded on much of anything. Simply just, it was a political wind shot. It was a political agenda that actually, led to these charges being pursued and those prosecutions being done. And so Hunter Biden, he's just the gift that keeps on giving. I want him to keep talking. Please do. In the same way that I want Kamala Harris to keep talking, I want Hunter Biden to keep talking, because every time he opens his mouth, we're reminded of just how feckless and just how much disregard Joe Biden showed towards the law every single day. They want to say, oh, President Trump is destroying all these norms. Imagine if Donald Trump would have pardoned Don Jr. today. He would be impeached tomorrow.
It's also been revealed that Hunter Biden was furious when Barack Obama led Joe Biden off a stage during a major fundraising event last year. So according to this new book by ABC News' Jonathan Karl, and then according to reports by Axios, that Hunter Biden told Jonathan Karl that decision by Barack Obama to really kind of put his arm around Joe Biden and walk him off the stage so publicly that quote really, really pissed me off. That is what Hunter Biden said. And of course it would have. I mean, Barack Obama knew exactly what he was doing for the world to see, making Joe Biden look even more frail and useless than he even was.
You're exactly right. And, I think President Obama knew what we all knew, and what a lot of folks in the Democrat establishment were refusing to acknowledge and admit. And I think President Obama wanted to do what a lot of Democrats were unwilling to do at that time, at that juncture of the race, and try to get Joe Biden to come to his senses and get out of the race before they lost, which would prove to be inevitable, right? But, I understand why he's so frustrated with President Obama. I got to say that, it's one of the things that I will actually give President Obama credit for, because he decided at that moment that he was no longer going to be complicit in elder abuse, which a lot of people, unfortunately, in the DNC and even in the Biden family, whether it's Jill Biden or Hunter Biden himself, were more than willing to do, because they realized that the moment that President Biden was pushed out of office, their gravy train would stop. Their abuses of power would have to end, because they would finally be held accountable as they are under this president, and thank God for it.
Now, CJ, I've got to play some lefty singing for you. Unfortunately, there has been so much of it on my X feed recently because of these lefties taking to the streets, taking part in these No Kings rallies over the weekends. And what is it with lefties and singing? But here it is.
the laws and the guarded goons withdraw, then Americans will take our country back.
Yeah, not a lot of Gen Z people in that crowd. A lot of old people, CJ.
Straight out of the nursing home, it seems. I knew that they would usually go to the nursing home to try to get Democrat votes, but now they're just shipping them to their rallies. It's interesting to see because for a long time, we were told as Republicans that we were the party of old white guys. Now, I know that you can see me and I'm clearly not that, but it seems as if they were doing a little bit of projecting here because it seems as if all of the people that I just saw in that video fit that category of being old and white. But it goes to show that there's a disconnect between reality and what the left oftentimes says. President Trump's Republican Party has become more diverse than ever, not diverse just for the sake of it, but diverse because it's actually a lot of people who are looking, in the Latino community, in the Black community, who are saying, we are sick and tired of being sick and tired. We're tired of being used and abused by a Democrat Party that doesn't give a damn about us, and they're coming to our side. So it's no surprise to me that a lot of these protests are looking a lot older and a lot whiter. It's probably a lot of the same people that were protesting Vietnam back in the day who are now coming out for their second tour of duty against President Trump.
Just finally, construction is underway for the big, beautiful ballroom at the White House, something that is costing taxpayers $0. Thank you, President Trump. Yet Hillary Clinton is making a big issue out of it. She posted on X saying, it's not your house, it's not his house, rather, taking aim at Donald Trump, saying it's your house and he's destroying it. Now, CJ, I don't think adding a privately funded $200 million ballroom to the White House is what I would call destroying it. What are your thoughts?
You're exactly right. I would not call it destroying the White House, and I certainly wouldn't call it defiling the White House as her husband did when he was president, right? So I think that she should probably sit this one out. It would be a wise decision for her to do. As you pointed out, no taxpayer dollars are being used to even construct this ballroom. This is being funded by the president himself and some, generous, patriotic donors who want to, beautify, the symbol of our country, and good for them. That's their prerogative. This is a free country. They can use their money to do whatever they please. And of course, this is not unprecedented. There are many instances throughout history where first ladies and presidents have made renovations to the White House. Jackie Kennedy made a tremendous amount of, renovations, as did the presidents that followed the burning of the White House. So there were many situations here where the White House has been modified and different presidents have left their mark on the institution and the structure. So I think this is just a lot about nothing. And again, I think Hillary Clinton would probably be wise to sit this one out when you consider the totality of her husband's history in that beloved building.
And I'm looking forward to seeing the ballroom. I think it's going to be grand. It's probably going to be spectacular, seeing as Donald Trump has a lot to do with it. CJ Pearson, RNC Youth Advisory Council co-chair, thanks so much for your time.
We'll see you.